Imagine a surgery, right? Where steady hands are, they're just a given. Where
Mm-hmm.
tremors are like a thing of the past.
Yeah.
And now picture those hands being guided by cutting-edge robotics.
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Oh.
The world of robotic surgery
Mm.
with Intuitive Surgical. They're kind of leading the charge.
Yeah, they really are. And we are going to be dissecting their Q3 2024 earnings call
Okay.
to understand not just, the what, but the why behind this company.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating trajectory they've been on.
It is. We're talking like nearly 9,300 Da Vinci surgical systems
It's remarkable.
installed worldwide.
Yeah.
That's their flagship product. And even more staggering,
Yeah.
over 16 million patients
Wow.
have been treated using this technology.
It's really something.
That's a powerful legacy.
It is.
And their latest earnings call kind of reveals how they plan to continue shaping the future of the operating room, really.
Well, and what I find so fascinating is how they've moved beyond simply establishing robotic surgery as like a viable option, right?
Right.
Their Da Vinci system, I mean, it's practically ubiquitous at this point.
It's everywhere.
And now they're really focused on refining that technology,
Right.
expanding its applications. It's pretty remarkable.
Right. And like with their new Da Vinci 5 system,
Yeah.
they only launched it this year, and it's already racked up some pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
188 systems installed.
Wow.
Over 12,000 surgeries performed in just 6 months.
6 months. That's incredible.
It's incredible. And those numbers tell a story,
They
right?
do.
They tell a compelling story about efficiency.
Efficiency. Yeah.
Surgeons are reporting significant time savings during procedures,
Yeah.
which then has this ripple effect.
Right.
Cost savings for hospitals, potentially more surgeries performed each day,
Right.
and maybe even shorter wait times for patients.
Exactly. Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins, but,
Yeah.
what really caught my eye was this force feedback technology in the Da Vinci 5.
Oh, yeah.
Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
What does that even mean, like, in the context of robotic surgery?
It's pretty much as futuristic as it sounds.
Okay.
Surgeons using the Da Vinci 5, they can now feel
Wow.
the pressure they're applying to tissues through the robotic arms.
It sounds like science fiction. It's like being able to replicate touch remotely.
I know.
How does that even work?
So it's really an intricate system of sensors and haptic feedback mechanisms.
Okay.
Essentially, the robotic arms can detect even subtle resistance from the tissues.
Wow.
And then that information is relayed back to the surgeon's controls,
Okay.
creating like a sense of touch.
Yeah.
So it allows for this incredible level of precision and
Okay.
control that, previously wasn't possible with robotic surgery.
So we're talking like a level of dexterity that surpasses even the most skilled human hand.
Potentially, yeah.
Wow. So what kind of impact does that have on patient outcomes then?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And, it's early,
Yeah.
but the data is promising.
Okay.
Surgeons are reporting that the procedures they feel more intuitive.
Okay.
There's the potential for less tissue trauma,
Right.
which could mean faster recovery times, fewer complications.
Right.
And it's something that Intuitive Surgical is actively studying, as they gather more data
Right.
from the procedures using the Da Vinci 5.
It's amazing how technology is just redefining the very nature of surgery.
It really is.
But Intuitive Surgical's ambitions, they extend beyond just the Da Vinci system.
Oh, absolutely.
They're developing a whole suite of specialized robotic systems.
Yeah. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket, are they?
Right, exactly.
You've got systems like the Ion, which is designed for lung biopsies,
Okay.
and the SP, which is incredible. It's for navigating incredibly tight spaces within the body. So it really shows you the range of what's possible.
What I find really interesting is that these systems are, they're seeing explosive growth, particularly in Asia and Europe,
That's right. Yeah.
where they're actually approved for a wider range of procedures than here in the U.S.
Interesting, isn't it?
Why is that?
Yeah, it really boils down to, differences in the regulatory environments.
Okay.
Approvals for new medical devices and their applications, it often happens more quickly in those regions.
Okay.
The U.S. has a more stringent and some might argue cautious approach
Right.
to approving these new medical technologies.
It's like navigating different terrains. What works in one healthcare system
Right.
doesn't necessarily translate to another.
Precisely. Each market has its own, its own nuances, its own regulatory landscape, its own patient needs.
Right.
And Intuitive Surgical seems to acknowledge that in their approach.
Yeah. And then there's this whole other dimension to what they're doing,
Right.
data. They've amassed this treasure trove of information
I know, it's incredible.
from millions of surgeries
Millions.
performed using their systems.
Yeah,
They're calling it turning surgeries into insights,
that's a great way to put it.
which sounds very promising,
It does.
but also a bit vague.
Yeah, it's kind of a catchy tagline.
Right.
But when you really dig into it,
Yeah.
it's actually incredibly exciting.
Okay.
So imagine a future, right, where we can use surgical data to predict complications before they even arise.
Wow.
Personalized surgical approaches
Yep.
based on a patient's, unique anatomy and develop new and less invasive procedures.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the potential
Wow.
that intuitive surgical is aiming to unlock.
So it's like turning every surgery into a learning opportunity,
Exactly.
not just for the surgeon, but for the entire medical field.
The entire field, yeah, exactly.
How are they actually going about extracting those insights from the data?
Well, they're investing very heavily in machine learning and AI
Okay.
to analyze this vast amount of data.
Right.
They're looking for patterns, anomalies that, frankly, humans might miss.
Right.
It's about augmenting human expertise with the power of big data.
Okay.
So, for example,
Yeah.
imagine a surgeon being able to call up a database of similar surgeries,
Right.
complete with outcomes and potential complications
Right.
before making a critical decision during a procedure.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of future that they're building.
Wow.
It's really incredible.
So they're not just building surgical robots. They're
Yeah.
building like a surgical knowledge base
Yeah,
that evolves with each procedure.
it does.
That's a game changer.
It has the potential to be, and the applications, they go beyond just improving surgical techniques.
There you go.
The earnings call highlighted how this data analysis can revolutionize
Yeah.
other aspects of healthcare too.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about hospital operations.
Okay.
Intuitive Surgical is developing tools now
Hey.
to analyze operating room usage,
Okay.
predict equipment needs,
Right.
and even streamline patient scheduling.
Wow.
This could lead to significant cost savings for hospitals,
Right.
which often are operating on, very tight margins.
Okay, so now we're talking about like system-wide improvements.
Exactly.
Not just advancements in the operating room. It's like this
It's every
powerful ripple effect.
exactly, and this data-driven approach,
Yeah.
it has the potential to level the playing field globally.
Why?
Imagine a future, right,
Yeah.
where best practices and surgical insights,
Yeah.
they're instantly shareable,
Right.
regardless of location or resources. I mean,
Right.
this is the kind of future that Intuitive Surgical is
Yeah.
working towards.
It's fascinating how they're like positioning themselves at the intersection of technology and healthcare.
It's a sweet spot to be in for sure.
It is, but this kind of innovation, I mean, it doesn't come cheap.
It doesn't.
What did the earnings call reveal about their financial strategy?
Well, I can tell you their financials they're robust.
Yeah.
They reported solid revenue growth in the last quarter,
Okay.
driven by a combination of, system sales and procedure volume.
Right.
What I find interesting is how they're reinvesting those profits.
Meaning, like, what are their priorities?
Research and development is a big one.
Okay.
They are not content
Right.
with resting on their laurels. They are pouring money
Mm-hmm.
into developing new technologies like that force feedback system that we were talking about.
Right.
And they're exploring even more futuristic applications
Right.
of robotics and AI.
So they're not afraid to like disrupt even their own successful products
Not at all.
to stay at the forefront of
Where
innovation.
they're leading the pack, they want to stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're also strategically expanding their global manufacturing capacity,
Okay.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Especially considering the increasing demand for their systems in, Asia and Europe.
It sounds like they're playing a long game here.
They are.
They're thinking decades ahead. They're not just focusing on, next quarter's profits.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Right.
They've got that long-term vision.
Right.
And it's attracting attention, not just from the medical community, but
Right.
from investors, too.
Yeah.
The stock market seems to have confidence in Intuitive Surgical's ability to, deliver on its promises.
It's easy to get swept up in all the excitement with all this talk of,
Oh, for sure.
cutting edge technology
Yeah.
and exponential growth. But what about the challenges?
Right.
right? The earnings call had to have addressed some of the hurdles
Of course, of course.
that they face.
Yeah, no company is without its challenges, right? And Intuitive Surgical is no exception.
Right.
One of the key challenges they highlighted was navigating the complexities
Yeah.
of different healthcare systems globally.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all
It's not.
situation. What works in the U.S. might not fly in Europe or Asia,
Exactly.
and vice versa.
Each region has its own, regulatory landscape,
Right.
its own approach to healthcare reimbursement, its own cultural attitudes towards new medical technologies.
Okay.
Intuitive Surgical needs to be,
Right.
adaptable and strategic in how it tailors its products and approaches
Right.
to each market.
It's like they're playing a global game of chess,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great way to put it, yeah.
Anticipating moves and adapting their strategies.
I like it. And speaking of competition, that's another challenge
Yeah.
that Intuitive Surgical is closely monitoring.
Things are heating up. What's the competitive landscape looking like these days?
Well, while Intuitive Surgical, they currently hold a dominant market share
Right.
in robotic surgery.
Yeah.
New players are emerging, particularly in China,
Okay.
where domestic companies are starting to develop, their own
Wow.
robotic surgical system.
That's interesting. So they're facing competition on their home turf, so to speak.
They are.
How are they responding to that pressure?
Well, they're approaching it from a position of strength, right?
Okay.
They have the advantage of experience. They've got a robust global network and a brand that's really synonymous with quality and innovation
Right.
in robotic surgery. And plus, they're investing heavily in R&D,
Right.
constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible
Yeah.
with their technology.
It sounds like they're not shying away from the competition, but rather using it as fuel.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to
Innovating even further.
innovate. Exactly. And that brings us back to like the overarching theme
Okay.
of this earnings call.
Yeah.
Intuitive Surgical is playing a long game here.
Right.
They're not just focused on maintaining their current market dominance.
Right.
They're building a future
Right.
where robotics, data, and human expertise, it all converges
Right.
to redefine the possibilities of surgery and healthcare as a whole.
It's a bold vision, it is.
Yeah.
And the next decade will be very telling
It will.
as they navigate these challenges and opportunities.
For sure.
But before we get like too far ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
let's circle back to the present.
Okay, yeah.
There's one more
Yeah.
fascinating aspect of this earnings call that we haven't touched on yet.
You're talking about the Da Vinci 5, aren't you?
Yes.
That new system is generating a lot of buzz, and for good reason.
It's the one with the force feedback we talked about, right?
That's the one.
I'm still wrapping my head around the concept.
Yeah, it's one of those innovations that, truly has to be experienced to be fully grasped. Right.
Imagine like the difference between using a pair of pliers with and without any grip.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, and I'm starting to get a better picture.
Yeah.
You have more control, you have more finesse when you
That's right.
feel what you're doing.
Oh, right.
But we're talking about surgery here,
Right.
not woodworking.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Da Vinci 5 so revolutionary.
Okay.
By allowing surgeons to feel those subtle differences in tissue tension.
Right.
The system allows for a level of precision and control that just wasn't possible in robotic surgery before.
So it's not just about making robotic surgery possible. It's about making it
It's about making it better.
better.
Yeah, better than traditional surgery in certain ways.
Right.
That's the goal.
Wow.
And the early feedback from surgeons using the Da Vinci 5 seems to support that.
Okay.
They're describing it as a more intuitive
Yeah.
and immersive experience.
Right. Allowing them to operate with a level of confidence and dexterity that surpasses
Yeah.
previous robotic systems.
It sounds like Intuitive Surgical isn't just pushing technological boundaries.
Yeah.
They're expanding the very definition of surgical skill.
It's true. It's right.
Well, where does it go from here? What's next
That's a great question.
on their
Tate.
innovation roadmap?
Well, the earnings call did provide some, tantalizing hints about their exploration of AI in surgery.
So AI in the operating room. What would that even look like?
Imagine a future where the surgical robot acts as an extension
Okay.
of the surgeon's expertise,
Okay.
anticipating their next move, offering real-time guidance based on analysis of like millions of past procedures, and even, learning to perform certain tasks, autonomously under the surgeon's supervision, of course.
Right. It's both exhilarating and a little unnerving.
It is.
To think about, it makes you wonder in this future of AI-assisted surgery.
Yeah.
What role will human surgeons even play?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's one that Intuitive Surgical seems to be approaching very thoughtfully.
Okay.
Their vision isn't to replace surgeons.
Okay.
But to empower them
Right.
with the best tools and insights
Right.
that technology can offer. It's about augmenting human expertise,
Right.
not automating it away.
So it's less about man versus machine.
Yes.
And more about like man with machine.
Precisely. That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And that's what makes Intuitive Surgical's story so compelling.
Right.
It's not just a story about, technological innovation.
Right.
It's a story about this evolving relationship between technology and humanity in the most critical realm of all, healthcare.
It's been incredible exploring this with you today.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. From
the intricacies of robotic systems to the vast potential of surgical data.
Let's unpack.
To the ethical considerations of AI in medicine. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. We've only just scratched the surface, but I think a key takeaway here is that Intuitive Surgical, they're not just building a company, they're building a future where technology empowers us to live healthier, longer, and more fulfilling lives.
It's a future I'm excited to witness.
Me too.
Thanks for being our guide today.
The pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me.
And that concludes our deep dive into Intuitive Surgical's Q3 2024 earnings call. We hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights and sparked your imagination about the future of surgery and healthcare. Remember to subscribe for more fascinating deep dives into the world of knowledge.